I just hope this trend of nonstop mentions of Tony Khan by the commentators and now guys doing promos, I hope it comes to an end.
Well, it didn't on this program. There's more to come. But what happened next in this parade of terror? Private Party and Matt Hardy enter the arena, and on their entrance, Sammy Guevara, the biggest babyface of the night, the people were cheering and bringing the house down an hour before, attacks Matt Hardy from behind on the ramp, and they go to the break. So he's a heel again. And the match coming back from the break was Private Party in a rematch from long ago against the aging Bucks. Remember when the Bucks made a big deal of putting Private Party over, and we explained how they actually made it look like a fluke and didn't do anything for the young guys?
That's like a year ago.
Yeah, well, everybody remembers that great match. So here's a babyface tag match. Now, kind of babyface tag match, because remember, we're still on the fence about the Bucks. We don't know what they're supposed to be either. But if they didn't have all their heels mad at each other, they'd have some to wrestle their babyfaces. But anyway, all through this match, which is the same thing they always do, Pieface Buck sold the leg that FTR had injured when they Pillmanized it with the chair last week, whatever. He sold the leg by doing everything that he always does exactly as he always did it, and then limping like he couldn't stand up in between everything. Is that what you saw?
Yes, although apparently he's really injured. Apparently this is legit.
Okay, but here's the thing. He still did. It's not whether you're really injured. It's whether you're portraying the injury. If he's really hurt, it's even worse. He did everything they would normally do and did it fine. But then in between everything, he would limp like he could barely walk, like the bone was actively broken and not even set. And then suddenly he'd do shit again and then he'd limp. The whole idea of portraying an injury is you work to where that you can't do those things and you have to do other things. And you can't execute those things. They even worked a spot at the end where Balding Buck went to tag old Pieface, but Pieface was selling his ankle on the apron, so Balding Buck was like, I'll not tag him, I'll keep going, I feel sorry for him. Here's the thing, they'd been doing move after move earlier, and old Pieface had been out on the floor for 5 fucking minutes before that Balding saw him sitting there selling his, I don't know, At one point, the Bucks on purpose specifically changed direction and rolled to the floor on opposite sides of the ring so Private Party could do the stereo dives that they've got put in their contracts. They must be allowed to jump over the top rope head first at least once a match. And the whole thing, it was a mess. When I was hoping for the finish, that's when they went to the break. So I was like, oh, Christ, we got twice more of this. Coming back from the break, watch, anybody wants to go back to the DVR. When they came back from the break in this match, Pieface's leg was fine. No limp. The Private Party guy dove on both of them, blew a kiss and spit all over the camera lens. I bet the cameraman loved that in the age of COVID. And then that's when Private Party did some contrived tag team shit to Balding Buck in the ring. And they did one move where it looked like he just hurt his face on the Buck's back. And then Balding went to tag him, but he wouldn't tag him, so he kept going. But seconds later, after this, the partner was on the apron and in such pain selling his leg that his brother didn't want to tag him in. Seconds later, Pieface comes in and spears Mark Quinn right out of his fucking boots just fine. And then Balding Buck hit a knee. This would have been a great finish. Got a 2 count. Would have been a great finish. People would have blown, such as were there. Then they did the same finish as before where they didn't really put the guys over. It was a fluke for a 2 count and then a reversal for a 2 count. During this, Matt couldn't walk. And then finally, they just hit double knee lifts to Mark Quinn from either side of his fucking head. 1, 2, 3. This is the worst habit that the Young Bucks have. Overkill. They actually went through about 4 or 5 good finishes there that would have really been good and snazzy and continued to not make it the finish and then used the one rotten finish that didn't look like shit, and that was the finish. And then FTR attacks him and gets heat on the fucking Bucks, and FTR goes to Pillmanize Pieface's leg again, and they milked it for so long. I'm like, okay, somebody's coming, because it was obvious. And here, that's where Page came in, carrying his drink in to run off the fucking heels and Tully Blanchard. Then Olivier follows, dressed like a fucking unmade bed, as you mentioned. And he comes in the ring. Nobody touched. FTR leaves the ring, and they just wait on the floor with Tully. The Bucks get up to their feet, and they're jaw-jacking with FTR from 3 feet apart. Bucks at the ropes in the ring going, you no good so-and-sos, and FTR and Tully standing there going, you no good so-and-sos, after they tried to cripple this fucking guy. But here came Bill Watts' invisible wall. The first thing he told us in one of his locker room meetings, first thing I learned when I got to Mid-South, when the baby faces hit hot and you've been creating panic and mayhem and you bail out on the floor, there's no invisible wall that suddenly separates you from an ass kicking. If the baby faces see you standing there and waiting, they need to get the fuck out there and beat your ass, or elsewise they look like idiots. So while FTR and the Bucks jaw-jacked at each other from 3 feet apart and looked like idiots, there was tension between Page and Olivier, where they made faces at each other and gave each other snide looks. As far as building a match goes, this was hot, stench-ridden garbage. And the save was as lackluster as anything I've ever seen, and the heels had nothing to run from. It was a fucking mess. Your thoughts?
I didn't like it. I'm not a fan of this style of match. So it didn't do it for me, so I'll talk just about the post-match. Love the idea of FTR getting in there and kicking some ass. The pause to wait for Page to run out was ridiculous, and it killed any momentum the post-match beatdown had. Because why didn't they do it? We know why, because they were waiting for Page to run out. And then the drama with Page and Omega, enough already. Whoever thinks this is good, it's not. It really isn't. I read that, I guess, after the show, they couldn't fit this in on the show because of all these important matches. There was a promo where FTR and Tully were informed that AEW is banning Tully from ringside for the match at Full Gear because of all of his interference.
He didn't interfere!
Not here. Actually, I can't think of any matches he's interfered with. He had the mask on.
He pulled a leg about a month ago in a match.
And he had the mask on and attacked him with a chair, but that wasn't during a match. That was a promo.
Correct. They should have hung him over the ring like they did me in a straitjacket and a cherry picker. At least he'd have the best seat in the house for this shit.
Well, as we've learned, if he wants to get to ringside, just get a glass of scotch. They'll let you walk right out.